So hello, thank you for attending this session. I know it is near the end of the conference and you're all probably quite exhausted. I know I am. So my name is Alex Jitianu. I work for Syncrosoft, the company that develops the Oxygen XML editor set of tools, intended to help those working in technical documentation. I've been with the company for the last 14 years now, and during this time I've mainly worked in the development of authoring support and data related support in Oxygen. At my core, I am a Java developer, and as a Java developer I recognize that a lot of the challenges and difficulties that are encountered in technical documentation as the challenges and difficulties that we had in the software development areas. And I think that is good to see how we've solved these challenges in software development, and see that they can also be applied for technical documentation as well. So we'll talk a bit about an initiative that is called Docs as Code. Then we'll take a look at how we can choose a text markup language, what is version control, what benefits it brings. Also, continuous integration and delivery are some buzzwords used frequently in software development, and we'll talk about them as well. And at the end, I'll show you an example of a working Docs as Code setup for a project, for a documentation project. I've chosen as, well, we will see when we get there. Okay, so Docs as Code refers to an initiative that states that you should be writing documentation with the same set of tools and workflows as developers write code. This means that you should use a version control, have collaboration and review processes on your documentation, automated test, builds, delivery, to use issue tracking to track everything that you change in the documentation, and to have a plain text markup as because this is related with the version control system, which plays nice with a text markup. So the first step, choosing a suitable text markup. If you go on the internet and you read about the Docs as Code philosophy, you'll see as the text markup of choice either Markdown or ASCII doc. But I would also add there XML, which is an acronym that stands for Extensible Markup Language. So it's also text there. It's just the markup that differs a bit. But still it's text, so it's a great candidate for Docs as Code. And from the XML vocabularies, we could choose docbook, or we could choose data, which are quite widespread and used extensively in the technical communication area. But you're not forced to use only these. Any XML that you have, it's a great fit for Docs as Code. So the next step, why should I use a version control? Well, the main benefit that it brings is the fact that it stores version. So its ability to save changes made to the files, and you also keep all the changes from the previous version. So in a version control client, you see you have all these commits, and then when I make a release, I keep this tag saying this is where I made my 2.0 release, and then you see how the source evolved. And at any point in time, I can go to a particular version or commit and maybe make some other changes. So it's a step forward, and in software development, you definitely use a version control system. Then a version control system also empowers collaboration and review, because your documents are kept there in the version control system, and all the contributors, all the writers can access them and make changes and review them. Also, a great benefit is the fact that you always understand what happened to a particular document. So this is how changes are rendered, for example, in one client. You see here, I see that this line was removed, this one was added. This is a diff that is oriented on lines of, but these differences can also be displayed visually. Like here, I have this word biggest that was added in a new version. And there's a difference here that this paragraph was removed, and so on. So at any point in time, you can see the changes, and you can also see which I think, I thought I had another slide. And you can also see who made those changes. So if you don't understand what happened, then you can contact that person and talk a bit about those changes. So which version control system? There are quite a lot of them out there, but I'll mention 3 of them that have gained a lot of traction: Git, Mercurial, and Subversion. Nowadays, Git repositories have a lot of content, so Git has gained a lot of traction. So at least from my personal experience, I would probably go with Git. But maybe that's because I'm more accustomed with it. But any of these will do. The next question is, should I go on the cloud or on premise? Well, either way, because for example, with Git, there are on-premise Git repositories. GitLab has a community edition, which is open source, and we use it ourselves in our software company, so you can install it on your servers. If you prefer web-based repositories, again, you have a lot of choices. There's GitLab, GitHub, and Bitbucket. If you go on the pricing things, you'll notice that each and every one of those have free, so they can be used for free. So they don't necessarily bring a cost. So there is all of them can be used for free with some restrictions. For example, GitHub gives you for free only 3 private repositories, maximum of 5 contributors, but for small teams that might be enough. If not, you can investigate another price plan or go with on-premise Git repository. Continuous integration means that changes are validated as soon as they are committed. You create a build, you run your automated tests. So the idea is that you catch a problem as soon as that change was performed. And it helps avoid the so-called integration hell, when apparently software works on individual machines, but on the day of the big release, when you begin to make the build, everything breaks and people get nervous and yell at each other, and it's not a pretty sight. You have to fix it quickly. And this continuous integration concept puts a great emphasis on testing. automation. So automate stuff. But what can we automate for a documentation project? Well, we can automate quality checks, like maybe business rules, which can be expressed in schematron or in Veil. Have you heard of schematron? Yeah, some of you. So it's a standard in which it's a XML vocabulary in itself, and you express in it all sorts of rules, like in my topic I should have a short description because they are important, or maybe you can check if a reference is to a certain location, but the text inside it that is presented to the user is to a different location. So all sorts of things. And Veil, it's a linter, a static analyzer. It's open source. It has a YAML extension system. I could have put some slides, realizing now. But the idea is the same, that you write these rules, existence rules, substitutions. You can check, for example, if the Oxford comma is being used or not, and give errors when they fail. You can automate integrity checks, like broken links, maybe conflicts with profiling, like you've marked a parent to be for an expert audience, but inside it there's a child that is marked for the novice audience. So a situation that would lead to incomplete documentation. You might automate some reuse metrics, see how much you reuse code in your documentation, or other metrics that might be useful. And of course the publishing pipelines. They're a great fit for automation. If you run them, if you run them frequently, then you'll know the minute something breaks. This brings us to continuous delivery. It's related with continuous integration. The goal of continuous delivery is to make sure the software is always ready to go to production. This means that you have automated your release processes, and you can deploy your application at any point by clicking on a button. There are, again, quite a few of continuous integration, continuous delivery platforms or servers out there. In our company, we use Jenkins to automate all these things. So Jenkins can be installed on premise. There are solutions on cloud, in the cloud as well, like Travis, continuous integration, or Netlify. GitLab has its own continuous integration and delivery pipelines, which means they are also available on premise, because GitLab has an on-premise distribution. So you have quite a few choices out there. Next, which editing tool you should use, you can use. Well, it can be any text processor, because remember, we've chosen a plain text markup. But GitLab and GitHub offer built-in text editors as well. They can be used for collaboration. If you go with XML, you can choose a commercial XML editor as well. What a coincidence. We create such tools ourselves. Like Oxygen Web Author, which is in the cloud, or Oxygen XML Editor, which is the desktop variant of our editing tool. Collaboration. Well, the fact that you're, like I said, the fact that you are using a version control system already empowers and permits collaboration, because all of your team, all the members of your team can work on those documents. If you go with GitHub, GitHub has a nice pull request mechanism After you make changes, instead of committing them in a repository, you create a pull request. And then subject matter experts, like developers, will review all those changes. And if they're okay with it, they can press the button to integrate them. If not, they can write some messages. You work on that pull request, and after everyone's happy, then you merge it. You can also use dedicated solutions. Again, we have two of those. They're called Oxygen Content Fusion and Oxygen XML Web Author. I have a little demo prepared here with the Content Fusion. So in Oxygen, you have this side view, Content Fusion Task Manager. And when I want to review a couple of topics, I can drag and drop them inside this view and create a new task. I click upload. The task will be uploaded to the Content Fusion platform, which can be in the cloud or on premise. And this is how the platform looks like. Then I can share a link with all the reviewers, and when they follow the link, they get to this same interface, and then they can edit a topic visually. They can make changes. All changes are recorded. They can add comments. You can reply to comments, work on them, and after both you, the technical writer, and all the subject matter expert are happy with the result, you, the technical writer, go back to Oxygen, and you click Get Changes. I'm not sure if you see it here. It says Get Changes. And the changes from the platform are brought here. Again, you have a chance to see the differences, see what changed. Here there's a comment. You get one last chance to accept or to reject some of the changes. You click Apply, and these changes are now integrated in your local copy of the document. And after perhaps maybe you accept or I don't know, make other changes, you can commit to the CMS or to Git or wherever you're keeping your documents. So it's a review process in which the reviewers don't touch the document in your storage. So you keep the control of what you are committing to the storage or to the CMS. So it's agnostic from that point of view. Okay, issue tracking. If you go with GitHub, GitHub has its own issue tracking mechanism. You see here it says issues. This is how an issue looks like. You can create new issues from here. Let's take a look at one of these issues. You can reply on issues. You can assign labels or assign it to a person, like to myself. I won't do that. GitLab has issue tracker as well, looks pretty much similar. Again, because GitLab can also be installed on premise, you can use this issue tracker on premise as well. If you want a commercial solution, we don't have one, but Jira from Atlassian, it's quite a good one, and we use it in our company to create issues and to have workflows, how the issues evolve from created to confirmed to in progress, then fixed, then in review, in documentation, and so on. So a proposed solution that I have for you is, as the text markup, we'll choose data and markdown. Again, any plain text markup language would do, any XML, any other. As version control, we'll choose GitHub, so we'll keep our content in a GitHub repository. As issue tracker, again, we'll use GitHub's own issue tracking system that I've presented earlier. For continuous integration and continuous delivery, we'll use Netlify, which integrates great with GitHub. And we will publish, we will automate some tests, some quality assurance tests, and the results, we'll upload them to Sonar Cloud, which is a, we'll see what it is. Yeah. And for collaboration, we'll use OxygenX Web Author. You've seen this slide before. For this sample project, we will automate some schematron rules and Oxygen's validate and check for completeness. Which has a lot of checks, and the publishing pipelines. We could have done more, but the time is limited. So Netlify, it's a platform that offers hosting for free, and what's interesting for us, the continuous deployment and integration from a Git repository. Again, it's free with some restrictions, but it might be enough for you. If not, you can always use Jenkins, which is open source. Sonar Cloud, it's an open source platform for continuous inspection, static analysis of code to detect problems, but we'll only use it here as a place where to upload our issues. So all the issues that are found by our scripts, we'll use a REST API to be presented in Sonar Cloud. It was easier for me to do it like that. In your case, you could upload the results on an internal HTTP server, or you could send emails to people. So let's see this solution in action. So like I said, I have a GitHub repository. It's called Data Meets Markdown. And in it, I have some source files. Some of them are Markdown files. And some of them are data files because they play well together. And this is Netlify, where I've configured the continuous integration and delivery. Let me show you. So if I Netlify runs all these quality assurance tests and also the publishing pipeline. So if I click here, because Netlify provides free hosting, I also see the published, my published documentation in Web Help this time.
Is that based on the open source?
Yes, it's one of our own publishing choices. It's called Oxygen Web Help Responsive. It is an Open Toolkit plugin. This is what I've chosen to run, but it can be any transformation based on the Open Toolkit or whatever else you have. In case of data, of course, it's the Open Toolkit. If you have a custom XML, it can be something else. So paint, let's say, okay, so I've published here, and like I said, for collaboration, we will use Oxygen's web author through these edit online links. So if maybe I am a member of the team, or maybe a user, and I read this topic and I find something wrong with it, then I can click edit online. And the source code for that particular page is open inside Oxygen's web author. I can make some changes, paint and stuff. Maybe this is the short description. I can add new content here. So I make the changes and I save them. Yep. Okay, and now Netlify has picked up this change and has begun building everything. So it will run all the automated tests, it will publish again the content, and so on. Everything I've automated goes here. Like I said, I've automated schematron checks and Oxygen's validate and check for completeness. And the results are uploaded here to Sonar Cloud. So they look like this in Sonar Cloud. Just to give you an idea of what's possible. So these problems came from schematron, from the schematron file. You see here it says that I have list items that end in the semicolon, and that's not okay for my documentation. This other one here, it says that dynamically scaled image are not properly displayed, so I should not use this scale attribute.
So if I went to batch run QA tests like that with Schematron, I need Sonar Cloud?
No, you don't. No. So to make these checks with Schematron, you don't need anything. You just create the Schematron file. Then if you want to automate it, then you'll need a continuous integration server like Netlify or Jenkins. And then you have to decide where do you present the results. So you have some problems. They must be accessible somehow to the team. I'm using Netlify. I could upload an HTML report in Netlify as well because it has hosting, free hosting. You can send emails to the team with the results. You can, if you have an HTTP server in your company, you can put it to a known location there, the report in HTML form. Sonar Cloud was easy to use for me, and it looks nice. I mean, it has this localization, but it's just one way. It's just to give you an idea of what's possible.
Okay, but you can't, so this visibility here of the errors and the problems, but you can't do that in Netlify within Sonar Cloud. If you were going to use Netlify for the continuous integrations with the build documentation, You would need Sonar Cloud or something similar to.
Something similar to present them.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough.
And here I have these rules that are prefixed with VCC are things that have been picked up by the validate and check for completeness engine. So here I have a broken link, a reference to an image that does not exist. Let's see what else. Here we have a profiling error. So this parent topic ref is marked as being for an expert audience, which means that this other one, which is for a novice, will never reach the novice user guide because its ancestor was filtered. So you can catch all these situations that might lead to incomplete documentation being delivered to the user. If you want to try it yourself, this solution, let's see what you can do. So you need to go to GitHub to this location, github.com/my name, Alex Jitianu, and then the project Data Meets Markdown.
Can you show me the other slides so we can take?
Oh yes, of course. And scroll a bit. If you scroll, these are some instructions about how it works. To the getting started section. And you have this button here, deploy to Netlify. So just click it. You'll arrive here. It says connect to GitHub. It might ask you, so you need a GitHub account. It might ask you for your credentials to connect to GitHub. And then basically it creates a repository in your GitHub account with this name, or you can change the name and then just click save and deploy. And you see the deploy is in progress. It's building. And at some point you'll get the results. One thing that you need to change afterwards, it's with regard to Sonar Cloud. The way this script is configured, it will upload the results on my Sonar Cloud account. I don't mind, it's there for testing purposes. But it's just these 3 lines in the configuration file that needs to be changed, and I'll show you what you need to do in Sonar Cloud as well to upload to your own account. So let's do that while the build is running. So I'll go on sonarcloud.io and I will log with my GitHub account, so I don't have to do anything. In this case, it's my wife's GitHub account, but I'm sure she won't mind. Right. And after you do that, oops, nope. I'll go from this other browser here. And I log in again with GitHub. Yep. So pretty clean because I don't have anything here yet. Then we need to create an organization. So we'll go here to my account, then organizations, and we'll create one. Let's create one manually. Continue. We'll go with the free plan. What else? We need to set some permissions, administration permissions, and I think all we only need to do to set this execute analysis, but to be sure I'll put more of them. I don't want to fail this demonstration. And then we need to generate a token. So we go here, again to my account, security. This is a token for Netlify. So Netlify can upload the results. Generate.
Name is mandatory? No.
But you can put anything. It might be mandatory, I think, but you can put anything there. What's important is this hash code here that we'll copy. And then if we go to GitHub and we refresh, we see this new project, Data Meets Markdown. We go to scripts, Sonar, and the property file. This one, we edit.
We will remember all this. Maybe.
I'll make my slides available.
Good. That's a good idea.
Okay, and let's see. The name of the project, I don't know, it's not really important. The organization is different. And this token here is, I think, is this one. So let's save. And we return to Netlify. We see that the previous script was successful. Here, if we click, we see the output. And now a new build has begun. And when this build finishes, we'll be able to see here on my wife's Sonar Cloud account the new project. Right. What else? In this scripts directory in the GitHub account, you'll find all the scripts that are being run by Netlify. So to get you an idea, well, it all begins with this netlify.toml file in the root. This is a file that Netlify knows how to read and to execute. So you see here, I'm just saying run this script file that will perform all the quality assurance tests and upload them to Sonar Cloud, and then this other one which does the publishing. And then I'm just saying in this directory you will find what needs to be published, the output. And Netlify will take it and put it in its hosting environment. Yeah, so the scripts are here, scripts. schematron validation, the publishing, validate and check for completeness, and this one that takes the schematron and the validate and check for completeness results and uploads them to Sonar Cloud. Let's see if our build finished. Not yet. So I see we have 5 more minutes for questions, if you have. Yes?
Yeah, I have a question. So, as far as I know, there's a plugin for Oxygen for Git
Yes.
version control. Maybe we could take a quick look at that. Is that something that's well maintained? Is it something that you
Yes. We've just released a new version last week, I think, in which we've added support for history and blame and pool with rebase and more features. So it's very active, yes.
Okay.
It's this one over here.
Okay.
Maybe a small question about editing.
Yes.
When you make a change, it's not mandatory to justify your change?
Well, that depends on how you do it in your company, and depends also of where you keep of the storage. In my case with Git, when I commit, I should provide a message describing what I have done. In our company, for example, like I said, we use Atlassian Jira for issue tracking. So each issue has an ID, and when we commit in our documentation, we give that ID in the message. And Jira knows to pick up those changes, and we can see in its workflows how things have changed and see the differences. And
even have the delay, the time slot.
It is a delay, yes, until the scripts pick up. And so I see the second build finished successfully. So, here is the project, and here are the issues. Now uploaded on my own Sonar Cloud project.
So the sample schematron files in that GitHub project, are they the files, because there was a presentation yesterday as well about schematron and this morning about the quality assurance. Do those sample files contain all of the rules that you guys have specified?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're here. Let's see where. So in scripts, schematron validation, and it is this schematron file here. And you see here, this is the rule that applies on images and looks so they don't have a scale attribute. This other one applies on a list item, checks for them not to end with a semicolon, and so on.
One very quick question, maybe?
Yes.
With a, I guess, quite open-ended answer. Any tips on integrating docs as code into your developers' existing source code, CI, etc., where they already have a nice workflow set up?
Right. So if you develop the documentation for a software project, then it makes sense to talk with them and see how they do things.
Yeah.
My feeling is that they'll be quite proud and they'll be willing to help you get things going. So you can either, so if they definitely use a version control system, and you can check with them if you can put your documentation in that system as well, maybe not in the same project, but a similar project. So that's how we do it.
Yeah. When they have time.
They'll definitely be very proud about their solution, and they'll be willing to help you set it up. Well, if you don't have any questions, then I won't keep you from lunch. Thank you very much. You can contact me on these channels if you have any other questions. I'll be more than willing to help you.